Greetings, fellow Trailblazers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Farthest Frontier, Episode 3, The Start of Industry. Can't believe I just need one more person. I'm just waiting for that shoe to drop. So the soil mixture for peas aren't ideal. I don't have the 10% bonus, but I don't have clay to add to the fields. But at least for beans, I do get that 10% bonus. Same with the clovers. Not that there's actual yield from clovers. So on the third year of this growth cycle, there's something else to consider, which I didn't mention. Certain crops can build up blights. And unlike other games, blights aren't like an all or nothing type deal. It is a disease. And if you keep sowing the same plants in the field year after year, that disease can spread. So you want to rotate your crops. Which means if I rotate from peas to clovers, I don't want to rotate back to peas because then year 3 will roll over to year 1 and we'll do peas 2 years in a row. So if there is a pea disease, okay, that sounds weird. If there's a bean disease, it allows that disease to continue to the next year. So you want to rotate your crops so that you don't continually grow the same over and over. So I'm going to want to find a third crop to rotate to, like leeks. So leeks, impact fertility is a minus 5%. So if we total this up, peas give 1%, beans give 1%, clovers give 3% each. So this up here is a positive 9. Which means I can easily afford the leeks, which is a negative 5%. That's not a problem. It might make more sense to have leeks sown, and then after or leeks sown after we hit clovers, though. And then to work the fields to remove weeds that can build up. And then these leeks are cold and frost tolerant, so it doesn't really matter what time of year I place them. So this is a pretty good crop rotation structure. I think next year I might move when we sow the peas. We'll see if the summer heat kills it or not. That's going to be the major factor here. But every single pea plant was planted. So the expected yield is to be 651 peas. Oh, I planted flax. Yes, that I did. Let's try that again. Leek. There it is. Impact fertility minus 5%. Yep. Thanks for noticing that. Although I am going to want flax, but not here, because this isn't sandy enough soil. All right, there we go. We have our immigrants, and that means my town hall can be upgraded. Boom, done. Prioritize that, and that gives me access to a ton of new constructions once it's built, because I was bottlenecked by a lack of a town hall on, like, a lot of things. So that's exciting. Dude, are you out of arrows? Or do you just like stabbing animals? Yeah, you are out of arrows. I have 50 of them, so go restock. Something else that we're going to want over here is another well. So I'll put a well right there. And our town center's getting built. Firewood splitter, as you can see, automatically paused. I must have hit 500. So the production is halted because I set a min and max to the production build. So that's it working automatically, which is great. Okay. With a town center level 2, this gives me access to a whole lot of tier 2 stuff. Some of the tier 2 stuff still requires a wagon shop, and that's one of the things I want to build because a wagon shop will allow you to use temporary shelters. So let's get one of those. And wagon shops are also going to be required in order to get things like clay, sand, iron, gold, coal, and work camps, which work camps is like lumber and stone, but not with laborers. So that will be the first thing I do. So here's a wagon shop, and I'm going to put this wagon shop right next to kind of everything else here. It's all relevant construction. And where is my wagon? Wagon, where did I put you? Oh, here it is. All right. We yielded, how many peas did we get? 613 or I think 657 peas, and now we're working on beans. So those vegetables will rot pretty quickly, but fertility has gone up as a result of planting it, and obviously we have a lot more food for people because I did have 0 food at the start of this year, which is not ideal. Why are you retreating? You're the hunter, not the hunted. Get back to work. I'm disappointed. And here's another example of the farmers being idle, unable to work. So what I'm going to do here is to start to work on multiple farm fields. I think this was 11 by 9, so it's too steep. So I'm going to have to flatten it out a little bit, which sucks. But so be it. And now that I have a wagon shop, that allows me to have temporary housing, temporary shelters. So let's start to get the fish that I wanted. So food production, fishing shack. The little sort of buoys that you see here are like the fishing spots. And you want a fishing shack to have as many fishing spots as possible. In order to do that, one of the things that you could do is to go where there's like a lot of terrain here. So if I was able to put a fishing shack like here, that's a lot of fishing spots around. Or to put it here and to work this area would be high yield. So I might play with that idea, but I'm gonna initially set it up where the shoal is. I have a feeling like that might be higher yield. And then I have to smooth this out too. And then I'll run a road over to this road and then set up a temporary shelter up here to support this fisherman. And the way to measure whether or not you need these temporary shelters is travel time. So for instance, this forager has particularly high travel time. So in order to remove the travel time for this forager, either I can put a root cellar to store the berries closer, or a temporary shelter. It really depends on what they're traveling for, if they're trying to feed themselves or store goods. But those are typically the 2 reasons why people travel. And let's see, I think these guys are now they're waiting for the harvest. Got it. All right, so this fishing shack, if I put it here, the estimated productivity is about 240%. I know it's in tiny text. I want to entertain the idea of putting it over here to see if this is better, even without that shoal. And I'll just pick... I could do both as well. There's no harm in doing both. I just want to know which one's more productive between those 2 spots. So this is a 240, and this is going to be known soon. So these shoal of fish give you 50% extra yield. So it's possible that this spot beats out this one for the shoal of fish. But I'll know in a minute. And that gives the smoker here even more things to smoke. So I'm going to turn on smoking fish again. Because previously I'd turned it off, even though it really doesn't matter. You can have it set to 1 even if you don't have any fish. It just means, you know, that they don't spend time smoking the fish. Let's see if this spot's better. It's certainly closer, which would be convenient. So with that wagon shop, let me think about next priority. I think the next priority is going to be to get homesteads. So let me update the priority here. Expand to homesteads. So homesteads are the next tier houses. And one of the big benefits of homesteads is it will start to bring in tax money. I'm also going to want to build a trading post. Most of the money that you make won't be from taxes. It's going to be from selling stuff to people who periodically visit you. So I'm going to build a trading post also very close to the storeroom or storehouse, and also close to the town center for protection, because the trading post is a common target of thieves, because it's gonna also have material for them to steal. So clustering it all together is really useful. Hey, bud. All right, let's see. Does this beat 240? Yep, 350. 360. Come on, give me. There it is, 360. Okay, that's a bit better. Forget that shoal. Run a little dirt road out here, and then after we build this road, I'm going to take a look at the travel time for this fishing shack. It's probably going to be pretty critical, and I'll put in a temporary shelter if we need it. Hey, my little bear hunter, can you tamp down on these annoying boars that keep alerting over and over? So one of the next things to do is, actually, let me update the priority and build a school. So the reason for the school is, as your people are educated, they actually work more efficiently. So it's going to be really in my benefit to have a school. And it's also a service that people want to live around. So there's a bunch of reasons. Cheers. We did smooth out this farm field. It doesn't look any smoother. The flatten tool doesn't work so well. But it is allowing me to build a farm field, so cool, I guess. This farm, oops, I didn't mean to do this. These farm fields I'm going to lay out differently from the top down so that the automated storage spot is different. And I'm going to set up 3 of them. And the idea here is to then wall all of this up, and then the remaining fertile soil down here that I'm not using, I'll have as an arboretum to grow pear, peach, and apple trees. So now we have an idea of what the footprint of this zone looks like. I can actually build the fencing. and build the supporting roads. It's a long dirt road, but this is what keeps the community fed. Man, look at all those beans. 1479 beans. Got a lot of beans. So with all the new construction project, with all those fences, I'm going to move my wagon down here so that we can have... Well, actually, it looks like they're laying out this fence pretty quickly, even without that. I do have a trade building. I'm going to fire the person working in it because we don't really need someone working in the trade building when there's actual trade opportunities. And that comes twice a year. And it will be announced in the top left. It will be very obvious that trade has arrived. Oh, the travel time for this fishing shack actually doesn't look too bad. So maybe I don't need a work camp for that. If I don't need a work camp for that, I'm going to close down the wagon shop for now. But we will need a wagon shop later on once I want to start collecting clay and sand. Iron, coal, and gold. Those require wagon shops. So I'll probably put a arboretum here. Arboretums require clay. I don't have any clay yet, so I'm not going to build it just yet. But that leaves a good amount of fertility in this area for the trees. And a pretty good use of this farming area in general. Because there's not a lot of fertile soil around other than that one spot. I'd have to get pretty far out from the center of town. For me to be able to afford a schoolhouse, I need 150 gold stored. So I'm not quite there yet, but I am hoping that there will be trade opportunities this year to give me the money to be able to afford it. At least that's the hope. I also left space in between these intentionally. And the reason I left space in between is because the game also has apiaries. And if you... Apiaries work best when they're around farms. So the slots between them allow for me to construct apiaries, and farmers will manage your apiaries. You don't want the circle of the apiaries overlapping with one another too badly. So I typically what I'll do is I'll build an apiary at the front and back between each farm. And that's usually enough wax for your candle industry, if you build enough of them. You can also just straight up build apiaries like in the forest. It still has a honey bonus, but it's not quite as high of a honey bonus if you have a large active farm. Strategic Rabbit, thank you for the resub. Cheers. So if you're wondering why there was gaps, that's why. They are unable to find storage for food. Man, I am just so successful. I'm going to need another root cellar. Build that as a priority. For now, what I could do is I can allow the storeroom to store the food, and then eventually move it over to the root cellar once the root cellar is built. Oh, first traveling merchant from the Iron Clan. Whatever they're called. Yep, Iron Clan. So trade is a little complicated, and I'm going to spend a second to try to explain it. You have to look at the green arrows. So what they want to buy is in the top here. They want to buy logs, gold ore, pottery, candles, soap, and baskets. And I only have logs, but I have a lot of logs. So in order to transfer the logs from the town storage to be traded, I'm going to hire 2 trade posts or 2 trade post workers, and then transfer, let's say, 185 or so wood to be moved from storage to the trade post so I can sell it to her. And she'll buy it at 5 gold a piece. And these little arrows indicate pricing. So 2 up arrows means that she's willing to pay a high price for them. So this is a really good way to make a lot of money. And then down below is what she can sell. So the good deals that she wants to sell would be the 2 down arrows. So she's selling iron ore at a really good cost. She's selling heavy tools at a decent average price, but she's selling weapons, tools, and hauberks at a high price. So it's far above the average. So what I'm probably going to try to do is to buy at least 1 heavy tool. Heavy tools are required for certain industries to initially get built, like blacksmiths or windmills. They're very, very handy to have on hand. They're actually required, like, you won't be able to set up heavy tool production until you actually buy heavy tools. So it's one of those things that you need to buy in order to proceed in the game. And then she has a finite amount of gold, but she doesn't have a finite amount of storage space. And then she's also departing in 75 days. And there will be a wagon. This is her wagon. So she pulled up and she's here for 75 days. So I'm going to want to stock as much of that wood as fast as possible. And most of my wood is stored actually in my storage cart. So I'm going to park the storage cart right outside of the trade hub to make it easier for my trade hub workers to bring stuff to market. And keep in mind that I'm trying to save up gold both for heavy tools and for the school. So I need 150 gold for the school and then like 260 per heavy tool. And I'd like to buy like 1 or 2 of them at least, because it's not a terrible cost. So down here, you can see that 41 of the 183 wood that I wanted to stockpile in the trade post has already been moved. So it gives you an indicator of like how much more time and work there is to be able to fulfill the order. And you don't want to run out of time. Oh, and here's another trader coming in. You look like the butcher, but I'll figure it out once you arrive. Depending on the maps, often raw resources will be required to trade as well. So for instance, you're playing Arid Highlands, you're simply not going to really find clay in the biome. And in cases like that, you'll just need to buy the clay in order to have pottery and bricks. And there's some other biome restrictions like that as well. Like sometimes the lowland lakes won't have any sand. So if you want glass, you'll need to just straight up buy the sand or glass. But here you can see the trade people grabbing from the wagon and stocking it really, really quickly. So we've gotten all 183 stocked. The second trader is the peddler. So he wants to buy furs, wood planks, and he's willing to sell some stuff as well. Nothing that he's selling right now I want to buy. So I'm only going to really trade with the Iron Clan. So here, I'll sell all 183 wood for 900 gold, which is amazing. Trade in this game is like super efficient. Then that gives me the opportunity to buy, let's say, 3 heavy tools. No, let's do 2 heavy tools for 546. And I'm going to do buy and transfer. So buy and transfer transfers it to the town's storage. Buy and stock keeps it in the trade post. So I'll buy and transfer to the trade storage, and then I'll transfer the trade post gold that I made over to town storage as well, so that I can buy or afford to build that school. Oh, there's actually one other thing that I wanted to do, so I lied. Instead of buying or harvesting my own clay, to get the school up and running quick, I'm just going to buy the clay that I need from the peddler to build the school, because that's going to make it a bit faster. So the school requires 30 clay in order to be built. And I'm probably going to build a school here, so I need to flatten this out a little bit. And then I also might want to consider building an arborist as well, which is another 50 clay. So if I can buy 80 clay, that would be ideal. And I don't think I'm going to be able to afford that. Let me transfer all the wood to the trade post as much as I can. Sell all my wood, because I can just harvest wood to be able to afford as much clay as I'm able to buy. Alright, that's probably enough. And now I have 468 gold left over after buying all that clay. Great. Oh, we got a bear. I'm going to have the bear hunter chase it for a bit. So now I have 2 heavy tools, 80 clay, and still 475 gold left over. Pretty good trade. Okay, forget that bear. It bolted. Yeah, trade posts are amazing. So I'm just waiting for them to smooth this out so I can build the school here. And the school also has a circle radius. So ideally you're going to want your initial... It's a smaller radius, as you can see, than the market. Or actually, it might be roughly the same. But you're going to want all your houses to be covered by the school. You can have multiple schools, obviously, but it's expensive. Both labor and people and all that, so... There we go. Let's get the school. And then I did have enough clay for the arborist. So if I take a look at the fertility here, I would say the arborist building might be well suited in this spot. Fertility for trees are a little bit different than fertility for crops. But yeah, that seems about right. And it's a lot more wood planks than I can afford. I think the first thing I want to do is to build the school as a priority. So I'm going to prioritize that over the arborist. In terms of arborists, it will yield you a much more reliable source of fruits, better than gatherers can. But trees take a while to mature. So it's one of those things that it will yield after like 10 years, not after like 1. Because trees don't grow overnight. Well, most trees. Now, we're still working on this road, too, aren't we? Should only be like 1 more stone. 9. Yeah, we're getting there. I'll help out with the wagon. But yeah, that was trade. It's a little initially unintuitive, but it's pretty straightforward once you get used to it. So in this storage cart that wanders, I'm just going to say stockpile only stone, logs, and wood planks, and nothing else, so that this cart acts as like a mobile deposit, rather than a little bit for everything. We also have that root cellar constructed now, so I'm going to take food off of the storehouse. Another thing that I need to start doing, although no one's complaining about it yet, is getting clothing. I had mentioned that a while back. The clothing that we arrived with soon will decay to the point where I'm going to need replacement clothing or people get really upset. walking around barefoot kind of pisses them off a little bit. Who would have thought? And building some extra housing because my houses are full. Sam, thank you for the resub, by the way. Cheers. So right now, 7% of my population is educated. We got a colony full of dummies. It's okay. I'm the brains. We'll fail, for sure, if that's the case. Still working on the road to the fishermen, but it's just about done. Yeah, I think it's been cleared. And that should help with the travel time. The travel time is 48%, so it's not great. But I think the road will help out enough that I don't need to work a temporary camp for it. Still a lot more labor to be done to get these fields ready. And this year, we're not getting crop yield off this farm because it's the year of clovers. So, for better or for worse, our food might dip. But that's why I'm making extra farm fields so that in any given year, 2/3 of my farm fields are yielding food that can be eaten, while the third field yields clovers to replenish their fertility. And all of these farms can be farming the same thing and just flipping so that they're not all growing the same thing. That way blight doesn't spread between them. It will make a lot more sense if you don't understand once the farms are built. So if you're scratching your head as to what the hell I just said, you'll get it soon. All right, let's move this storage cart. Where? Over... Oh, those houses are already built. That was fast. Alright, we have the road, and we'll keep an eye on the travel time reduction. And there we go. We have a school, and we already have a teacher who has a basic education. So every year... Is it year? I think it's year. Every year he'll teach a certain subset of our population so that they're educated and they work better and they wear out tools slower and that kind of stuff. So, current priority now is set up clothing and shoe production. That I think is probably the next most important. Which also gets me to where are we going to center our industry? So I do have a stockroom here. So putting the industry sort of near the storeroom is ideal, but also you want it somewhat close to your houses so that the commute to work isn't so bad. Some industries are not good to have near houses, like soap making. Because of, you know, it's a gross one to have nearby. So here's an example. Soap making has a negative desirability. Whereas others that I don't currently have access to, but others like a bakery have a positive desirability. People like to live near bakeries. They don't like to live near a soap factory. So when we lay out our industries, we also should keep that in mind, that anything that is beneficial to have nearby, like bakeries, should probably be as close to the houses as possible to offer the benefit. What's annoying about the bakery is nice to have near houses, but not the windmill. No one wants to live near a windmill. Not in my backyard. So So there's some negotiation to be done about how close you want those together, because the bakery requires a granary, the windmill requires a granary, so you want the bakery closer to the houses, the granary somewhere in between, and the windmill a little bit further. And then other industries are just totally neutral, like candle maker. Candle shop doesn't matter at all. There's no benefit in having close to the housing. So you don't want to crowd your houses immediately around your houses with industries that are like neutral, because in order to increase the desirability of these houses, you're going to need to make decorations like large parks in order to improve the desirability so that the houses get upgraded. So if it doesn't if there is no benefit to have it directly adjacent to the housing, don't put it there, because you're going to want that space reserved for things like parks and schools and festival poles and pubs and healer houses and that kind of stuff. So let's go back to that. I am going to need a cobbler and a tanner. So tanner is, again, another one that's really ugly. I think I'll put them all pretty much nested near the town hall. The other thing is this spot right here, I might want to reserve for a barracks, because it will overlook the town hall and also the storeroom and everything else. I can't afford a barracks right now. Like, I'm not about to build one because it's expensive. But having a barracks close enough, or I could also put the barracks here. Having a barracks fairly close to your town hall and also your markets allows you to react to raiders more easily. And I think actually this spot here might be ideal for that, because it's somewhat close to the markets and it's somewhat close to the town hall, so there's some protection there. Which means that let's deselect everything to be cleared, so our laborers focus here where we're going to set up industries. And then I'll put in the weaver, or the tanner, and the cobbler. There's multiple ways to make clothing. You can either weave flax or use hides. I don't have a flax farm right now, but that's probably the better way long term, because it's hard to source a bunch of hides late game. So this was this the tanner or the cobbler? Okay, that's the cobbler, so here's the tanner. You like the soundtrack so far? Yeah, me too. And I'm also going to put a basket shop in there. A basket shop is not critical, but it helps people carry more things. So it helps, like, a forager carry additional loads, or a fisherman or whatnot. It's not critical. I wouldn't go out of your way to buy willow or baskets unless you have money to spare, but it's a nice to have. So put in those 3 industries. And where's my wagon again? Here it is. Move the wagon over, make it build easier. The things that you need are going to be represented here in villager needs. So here's the basic needs. Right now it's food, mostly, and a little bit of firewood. But hide coats and clothing and shoes are going to be going down soon. Knowing that they're going down, one of the things I should probably do after I construct these 3 farm fields and rotate the crops and all that, and de-weed them and remove the rocks, is to find a sandier area for a flax field. So if you mouse over it, you can actually see the clay sand mixture. So it's like sandier up this way. Oh yeah, it's real sandy up where the graveyard is. So I can put a flax field up here, and I won't have to add sand yearly in order to keep the farm going. So flax field around this area would be really good. And there's other crops to grow that also benefit from high sand. That I can purposely pair with the flax up there. Maybe we'll grow like rye or wheat or something, I don't know. Really depends on fertility. Year 8. So, if I was to predict, I would guess that we are probably going to get at least one of these crop fields going this year. We already have the apiaries going, producing wax and honey, which will be useful when we have pubs. So it's probably not super necessary in this case to work the field, as the weed level's 2%, the rockiness level's 1%. But it's one of the things that you can do to sort of allow for a set and forget. Because if you don't incorporate a little bit of automatic field working, eventually over enough years, you'll end up with weed and rockiness levels going up. So even though it's inefficient, I like to do it anyway, so that I don't have to remember to do it every like 5 years or something like that, which can be cumbersome. So we've got the tanner running. I don't have a lot of pelts though, so I'm going to reduce my tanning workers just to 1. Because our cobbler is also going to need pelts. So if we're going to need some additional pelts, it would be wise for me to employ another hunter. And I'm going to put a hunter... So I know that there's deer spotted in this area, so I'm going to put a hunter out this way. Where I don't have to cut too many trees to build it. And that hunter is not too far off from this clay deposit if I want to harvest that. Oh, we have raiders. If I want to harvest that clay. Alright, let's signal the bell. 6 raiders are pretty easy for just a town hall to deal with. It's when the raiders start getting up into the 15-20 range that it requires you to actually have a bit of a military. But I'm definitely not there yet, as we just murdered them all without much effort. And merchants are coming back. So this year, she wants to buy soap, which I don't have. She really wants to buy beer, which I don't have, but she's not buying wood. She is selling discounted tools. Oh, I need to transfer those heavy... Oh, no, that is in the town storage. Yeah. I'm not going to really do any trading with her, though. There's nothing that she wants to buy that I have, so... Hopefully the second trader that comes by has better deals. We have a bit of a typhoid outbreak as well. As you can see, 3 people with typhoid. I don't have a healer hut yet, and I can't afford one. So it's moot. And they're getting cured. I do have some basic herbs, but it's not great. And I think this is the first time I'm farming leek. So the leek is going to drop the fertility from 68 to to 63, but then the rest of the crop rotations will bring it back up. And Jay Cataclysm, thank you for the bits. All right, there's the second trader coming in. And he is the butcher. So the butcher wants to buy honey, but at a terrible price. Wants to buy swords at a good price, but I kind of need my swords. And wants to buy herbs, but I need my herbs too, because people are getting sick. He's selling stuff that I would be interested in buying, but like, I'm going to hold on to my gold, I think. So, no trade this year. And we have planted 2,000 leeks into the field, so fingers crossed it will be a good year. There we go. So we've got a cobbler going, making shoes. We've got a tanner going, making... Oh, well, he's sick, so I'm going to fire him and hire someone else. A tanner going, making hide coats. I don't have anyone to make the clothing, because I don't have a flax field yet. So that's next priority. Set up a flax field. Hey, we got a bear. No, that's a boar. Thought it was a bear for a second. Let me check on that western hunter, because his... Yeah, he's not going to find anything to hunt there. He needs to venture out a little bit further. Ivar. So I really want 500 gold. I will sell off all my honey in order to try to get it, even though he's buying honey at a terrible price. Hopefully the Chelsea here, Kelsa, will be able to stock it in the next 15 days because he leaves in 15. Come on. Okay, he leaves tomorrow. I can sell 30 of it. That's enough. I've made the gold that I needed. The reason I want that gold is I'm going to set up a large park in order to... make the houses here look more desirable. So if I put a park in this spot, it kicks all the desirability of every house that I have up above the 30% mark, which encourages those houses to become from shelters to homesteads. So I'll stick the park right there. And that will also encourage people to immigrate. Immigration is mostly driven, as far as I know, by availability of food, housing, and desirability. So when those three things are solved, you get houses. So the current priority is set up a flax field and get homesteads. Oh, we're already having new villagers immigrate and get born. Nice. The next big milestone would be 25 homesteads and 150 people, which is going to be really tough to do in the limited amount of time I have, but one can hope. Ivar, you just ganked that wolf and you're not even butchering it? Dang, that's cold. Thank you for tuning in to Farthest Frontier, which originally streamed live on Twitch, February 14th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my gaming community, Rhadamant.com also has a link to Discord, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Pathfinders.